Someone who is financially rich is an owner. They're not a consumer. They're a consumer also. But when somebody is poor, they're a consumer. All they do is they take I always tell people we're all financial traders. A lot of people say, I'm not a financial trader. Yes, you are. You're trading time for money. Yeah. That's the worst trade you can ever make in your life. Somebody who's wealthy has made money their slave. They're no longer the slave to money. And the way they do that is they figured out how to become an owner. And the way you do that in the most simplistic way was you have to decide there's a percentage of money that you're going to keep forever. You're not going to give it to Kate Spade or Ferrari or anybody else. You can do that too. But there's a percentage of that income that never will be touched, that you will grow and compound and will provide income for the rest of your life so you don't have to work. So the goal is make enough money so you don't have to work, and then you'll do what you love and you'll pour your time and energy into it. But you have to make that decision. It's the first most important decision is I'm going to become an owner of American business. You don't want to have an Apple phone and not own Apple. And you don't want to just own Apple because any company can go up and down, right? You want to own the index. You want to own, a variety with enough diversification. But if you can just shift, and I've taught people who've told me they have no money, they can't save. It's really easy once you get momentum. The one universal rule that idiots in finance know is diversification. It's the only free lunch. You got to diversify. Because if you put all your eggs in one basket, no matter how good the basket is, one day that real estate market, that stock market, that bond market, that collectibles market, whatever you invest in, Ray Dalio showed me statistically, it'll drop 50 to 70% on a day. Now, if you're later in life when that happens, it's over for you. Right. So you have to diversify, and yet most people, they know real estate, so they do it, or they know stocks, so they do it, or they grew up with their parents flipping things, and it's the wrong thing to do. Mm-hmm. So you've got to diversify in order for you to be able to truly succeed.
You have to be positioned to take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah.
It's like in chess, they say good moves come from good positions. It's true. You can't find a good move from a terrible position, right? If you're sitting at home with no money, it's hard to invest in Bitcoin at $1. Doesn't matter what it goes to, right? You got to be in a good position to take advantage of things. So you've always got to be in a position where you have a good network, you have good information, you have some kind of liquid money, you have the ability to survive without that money, you can take a risk. Like, it's hard to set yourself up. The way that humans work and the way that we've evolved as a species is that we don't really learn lessons unless they're learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I believe that unless a lesson has taught the hard way, you're not going to learn it. You can have so many near misses and people won't learn their lesson. Bro, you must know a guy who goes out there, nearly crashes his car, doesn't slow his ass down till he wrecks it.
Yeah.
Like, this is how people are, right? So you need that pain for the lesson to sting enough to really genuinely go inside of your mind. And it's the same with everything. It's the same with driving a car or business. Truthfully, if you want to learn a lesson about business, you're going to have to suffer at some point, right? So we always say that most people are not successful with their first companies, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. I get that. The truth is there's a lot of people who make a lot of money with their first company, but they just spunk it, act an idiot, and it all blows up in their face. And that's how you get the discipline on your fourth company, that when you have $3 million in the bank, you just leave it there. And don't be done with it. So you need to go through some pain. You need to experience some negative things. You need to have to a degree some trauma to really even learn any lessons. You need to have a team, and if you have a team, you stand a better chance. It's player versus player out here, man. It's on the street. It's not easy. For every dollar you make, for every pound you took it from someone else. You don't make money, you take money. People don't understand the way that money works. You're not the Federal Reserve. You can't create money from thin air. Every single pound in your bank is money you took from someone else. And when I say take, I don't mean it in a negative way. You might have convinced them to give it to you. You might have a coffee shop. I'll give you a nice coffee. You'll give me some money. Cool. But you still took his money, right? So if you're out here trying to take stuff from other people, don't you want to have a team? You want to do it by yourself? You want to be Rambo?
Because if you get two of you doing it.
You get two of you. That's right. So the whole idea of this lone soldier, this Rambo, I'll do it all by myself, that's all dead, bro. You need to have a team. It's player versus player. And for the same reason, if you were out here on the street and you want to defend yourself, you want your boys around you. It's the same thing with trying to get rich. Problem is trying to find guys on your level. That's the hard part.
Know your numbers. No matter what business you're looking at, always know your numbers. Number two, realize that we're not successful if that consumer does not come to us, whether they're eating in your restaurants, whether they're playing in your casino, and whether, if you don't have a good product on that basketball court, the fans are not going to come and buy those tickets, the sponsors aren't going to come, and therefore you're not going to have the money to pay for those good players next year. You're not going to be able to pay Russell Westbrook and James Harden each $40 million a year. You've got to always remember, we're only as good as us taking care of that consumer. One of the things I teach everybody, and especially my kids, don't assume anything. People think if somebody walks in and gives you an answer that it's the right answer. And even when I tell somebody to do something, I don't assume they went and did it. I'll ask them a week later, did you do that I asked you to do? Because that was really important to me. Oh my gosh, I didn't do that. And I think that's the biggest mistake people make, is don't assume that everything's running right, don't assume anything.
Income minus expenses equals your investments plus your savings. So if you want to become wealthy, it ultimately comes down to having more investments. Your savings are not there to make you wealthy, they're there to protect you against an emergency. Your investments are what make you wealthy. So if you want to become wealthy sooner, or if you want to become a wealthier,
You need more investments.
you need more investments. How do you do that? Well, if it's your income minus your expenses, it's basic math. Either increase your income, decrease your expenses, or do both.
Right.
So that's the ultimate formula. You need to have the right mindset. And
Okay.
so this is why I call myself the minority mindset, and the brand minority mindset, because it's all about thinking differently than the majority of people. Because if you follow what the majority of people do, in 80 to 90% of situations, you're probably doing something wrong.
And you'll be in debt, and you'll be paying off debts and loans for the rest of your life.
The majority of people are broke. The majority of people are living paycheck to paycheck. The majority of people are drowning in debt. The majority of people have zero to no investments. The majority of people are unhappy. The majority of people are miserable, and the majority of people do not like their jobs. This is not me exaggerating. These are all statistical numbers where more than 50% of people feel this way. And so if now you keep doing what everybody else does, you're going to end up like everybody else. And so this is where now you want to think a little bit different and try to find what's right for you and start to get educated yourself. Because when it comes to the mindset, the first thing you have to understand is that it is possible. Because if you're sitting there saying it's not possible for someone like me, somebody who has my background, my parents, my whatever, I can't become successful, I 100% guarantee that you will not be able to become successful. You cannot change your outcome without changing your mindset.
Oh, that's big.
If you're bold enough to bet on the future and be patient enough to let it take place, you will win, and you will win big. Your money is not doing you no justice in the bank. It's not, especially now, right? It's not doing you no justice in the bank.
Why not?
Well, because the more they print money, the more your money loses value, right? The more inflation goes up, the more your money loses value. So $100 spent in 2019, that same $100 now takes $109. Right, so your money is lost. You need that
buy
much
the
to
same
buy
thing.
the same thing, because I always say a dollar that's not moving is a dollar that's losing. Right, so sitting our money in a bank is not the place to be. You buy something at $100, it goes down to $80. If you don't sell it, you have an unrealized loss of $20. Meaning you didn't sell it, your equity just decreased. But if you sell it, you realize that gain. You have now made that gain realistic. That loss. You've realized that loss. You've made that loss realistic. So you've now essentially lost that $20, right? That's a realized loss. Now, realized gain is the exact opposite, right? So if you go up to, I buy something for 100, it goes up to 150, unrealized, I have $50 in unrealized gain. So it's there, but I didn't sell it, it's there. Realizing it is saying I've cashed out.